my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. This video is going to be my mid-month book wrap-up. So the words are going to come better after this. So I read 3 books so far this month. I finished Zen and the Art of Happiness by Prentiss. I read this a long time ago, and I thought it would be good for rereading because I read a self-help book in the morning, which I've probably said 10 million times. What I got the most about this book, or the most from this book, was everything that happens to me is the best possible thing. Excuse you? Well, Pat, come here. Come here, Nugget. It's the best possible thing that can happen to me. That's something, that was probably my biggest takeaway, and it definitely was the last time I read it as well. And that is just kind of when you have a negative thing that happens, it was supposed to happen to you for some reason, and you experiencing that might lead to something better in the future, and it's just being happy for whatever is coming your way. So I really liked that. The only thing I didn't like about this book, like some things, like I read it because I have a lot of like discontent in my life, and I'm always hoping for something more and something bigger, and I'm trying to read books like this to just kind of be happy in the now. I'm reading The Power of Now actually right now. But like some of this stuff dealing with sadness and depression, I think some of the advice is a little flippant. It's just like, oh, well, don't. Just don't be sad. And I think there's a little more to it than that. I understand the philosophy. I just don't know if it was quite for me. And also the guy who wrote this founded or helped find Passages in Malibu, like this rehab treatment center here in California. And he mentions it like a lot in the book. And I don't know if it's like an ad for it or what, but it's brought up a lot. It was a little bit weird. And I don't quite remember it being that weird last time, but now it felt weird when I read it this time. But besides those things, I mean, there's some good stuff in this, some really good messages. It's a very quick, easy read. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars just because there were a lot of good takeaways from it. And I think a lot of it worked for me currently. The next book I finished, which was kind of a beast, and I finally finished it. It's, so I started UCB, it's an improv school here in LA this summer, and they have a manual. It's the Upright Citizens Brigade Comedy Improvisation Manual. 3 of the founders helped write, and it's just this, like, it's just basically like a textbook, and it just goes real detailed and real into improv. And I've been really hardcore doing improv since last May. And I'm starting to really feel like I hit my stride with it. I love it. And when I started reading this book, it was, you know, obviously I still have stuff to work on, as most people do in anything, but I really feel very confident in improv now. And this book, just kind of going back and rereading about some of the mechanics of it and just like having it broken down. Hey! So, well, Pat doesn't like improv, I guess. I don't know. What's up? You okay? Just kind of like hearing it or reading about like how it's really broken down after experiencing a lot of it really helps solidify a lot of the rules and foundations of improv in my head. And it was just a really great, detailed book. It took a long time to get through, but I'm really happy I did. And I'm really happy I read the whole thing and just like stuck to it, because after doing a lot of improv, just like having it all reiterated through a book, I feel like it just laid a lot of foundation for me. That was really great. I think if I had read this before I had done a lot of improv, I would have been very overwhelmed and confused, but I think I read it at a really great time in my improv journey, so I think that worked out really well for me. And the last book I read so far this month was a continuation from last month, but it was The Kept Woman by Karin. When I had talked about this the last video, I wasn't like a huge fan, and I was really disappointed because Karin Slaughter books are supposed to be like really good, and people always have really good things to say about her. But my mind has been changed. So basically, there is this cop or detective, I don't even remember now, but there's a murder, and a lot of the pieces to the puzzle of this murder are tied up with his past. He has this wife or ex-wife now who is just like a disaster. They grew up in the foster care system together and they're always there for each other. They got married and she just like blows in and out of his life and just like destroys things, basically, is her deal. And the first half of this book, it was like from kind of the detective's side of the story, and that's when I said I wasn't sure about it. And I think this is like a series of books with the same detective, and I don't think this is the first one. So I wonder if like if I had read the first of his books, maybe I would have felt more attached to him, because I just didn't really feel attached to what was happening. I didn't really care a lot about it. It was just very like, you know, it was just very detective-y and almost dry in that way for me in this first part. And I don't know, it just wasn't like grabbing me. It was readable, but I wasn't super into it. And then kind of like a third of the way through the book, I guess, they kind of go towards his wife's perspective, the woman who was like, they're like not together, but they're technically married, and they go from her perspective and you get her side of the story. And that's kind of when I started enjoying it a little bit more, seeing another perspective of it, and a lot of the pieces started falling together. And then like the last third of the book, everything kind of came to a head on both sides. So in the end, I really enjoyed the book. I only gave it 4 out of 5 just because like the beginning was like a little bit of a slow build for me, and I like wasn't gonna put it down, but I just like wasn't very excited to pick it up ever. I wanted to see what would happen, but you know, that's where I'm at with that. So yeah, and then for the I don't have it with me, but I'm reading All the Missing Girls right now, so I'm going to just like wait to talk about that until my next video, my next little wrap up. Yeah. So I wanted to get back into shoutouts. I don't think my last video or so I did shoutouts, and I want to do those again. So my shoutout for this video is Graham Quigley. He also has a booktube channel, which I'll link down below for you guys. And if you want a shoutout in my next video, just comment down below. If you've read any of these books, I don't have them with me anymore. I left for a minute. If you've read any of these books, let me know, and tell me what you thought about them below. And the question for this video is going to be, who's your favorite comedian? Because we talked about improv. I really I liked Amy Schumer for a while. I really was into her, but not so much anymore. I'm kind of looking for a new comedian. I like John Mulaney. I enjoy him. Jim Gaffigan, I'm into. I'd say those are like my big ones right now. I really like to watch like random stand-up comedy in LA, so I like a lot of random comedians. But yeah, those are like my big ones who are like famous. So let me know in the comments if you have any favorite comedians, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!